Hi, I'm Denise. Thank you for watching my video. Today I'm going to be talking about the two sounds S and Z. I will break this discussion up into two parts. So in part one, I will be talking about how to make the sounds, and I will also talk about which letters make these two sounds, and I will give you example words for each letter. Then in part two, I will give you a lot of opportunity to practice. I will give you some more example words and ask you to practice saying those with me. I will talk about how to know which sound to make, whether you should make S or Z in a word. I will also compare the pronunciation of nouns and verbs. Those can be different. And I will practice similar words with the two sounds S and Z, and try to help you distinguish between those similar words. Then I will practice similar words with the two sounds S and F. This sound is made with the letters TH, and I will also practice similar words with Z and V, the other TH sound. Then finally, I will give you some sentences using these sounds. So I hope that you enjoy this video. I hope that you will be able to watch both parts. So let's get started. Right now, I would like to start with how to make these two sounds. I would like to talk about how to make the sounds S and Z. These sounds are very similar, and to make these sounds, to make both of these sounds, we keep our tongue inside our mouth behind our front teeth. So the tongue must be inside. It should not protrude past the teeth. So the tongue is inside, and if we pretend that this is my tongue, the front part of the tongue, which is this area here, is raised a little bit towards the roof of my mouth. It is near the ridge, which is just behind my front teeth. When I say the front of my tongue, I do not mean the tip. The very end of the tongue is called the tip, and that's not what I'm talking about. Do not turn the tip up. It's not the tip, okay? It's just the front of the tongue. It's just raised slightly towards the ridge behind my teeth. The tongue does not touch the front teeth, but it can touch the upper back teeth. The sides of the tongue, okay, the two sides of the tongue can touch the upper back teeth. Some people like to press a little bit on the upper teeth with the sides of their tongue, but you don't have to. So it's okay and it's good to touch the upper teeth with the sides of the tongue, but do not touch the front of the teeth with your tongue. The reason for that is because we need to force air out over the front of our tongue. So right now, my tongue, the sides of my tongue are touching my upper teeth, but I'm not really pressing. The front of my tongue is not, but it's raised a little bit. It's not on the bottom of my mouth. It's raised a bit, and I'm just forcing air out. The difference between these two sounds is that S is a voiceless sound and Z is a voiced sound. To be voiceless means that I do not use my vocal cords when I make that sound, and to be voiced means that I do use my vocal cords. You can practice these two sounds by holding or gently touching your throat so that you can feel the vocal cord vibration when you make this sound. When I make this, zzz, I can feel vibration here. When I make this sound, I do not feel any vibration. So I would like you to try to do the same thing and be sure that you are not getting vibration here and you are getting vibration here. That is the difference between those two sounds. So if you are not getting vibration for both, then you're not getting two different sounds. Or if you are getting vibration for both, you're not getting two different sounds. This one does not have vocal cord vibration. This one does. So let's practice them, okay? Make the sound, force air out over your tongue. Don't vibrate the vocal cords for this one. S, no vibration, I can't feel anything. S, and do vibrate your vocal cords for this one. Z, z. Okay, can you hear the difference? Sometimes we say that this sound, s, sounds like the hiss of a snake. S, s, s. Okay, does that sound like a snake? Okay, and sometimes we say that this one sounds like the buzz of a bee. Bzzz, zzz, zzz. Does that sound like a bee? Okay, so that's how you make the sounds. Let's move on to looking at some letters that make these sounds. Now I would like to discuss which letters make these sounds, and along with that I will give you some example words for each letter. Okay, so let's move on and talk about the letters. I would like to talk about which letters make the sounds S and Z. The letters S, C, X, and Z can make the S sound. The letters S, Z, and X can make the Z sound. The basic letters which make S are S and C. The basic letters which make Z are S and Z. So you'll see that the same letters can make both of the sounds. So we'll look at several examples of words using these different letters. Also, I would like to mention that these letters can make other sounds as well. They can be combined with other letters to make other sounds, or they can be doubled. For instance, the letter C can make the K sound. I will not be focusing on these other sounds, but I do have other videos talking about them. So if you're interested in some of the other sounds, in particular the sound K for the letter C, then please see my other videos. In this video, I'm focusing on S and Z. Let's move on and look at some examples. The letter C, when followed by the letters E, I, or Y, usually makes the S sound. And here are a few examples. I have cell, city, and symbol. So in the word cell, the letter C is followed by the letter E. In city, the letter C is followed by the letter I. In symbol, the letter C is followed by the letter Y. When we have two C's together in a word, we often get two sounds. We get a K and a S sound. Here are some examples. This is the word accent. This is succeed. And this is vaccine. In each of these, I have two C's, but the second C is followed by either an E or an I, in this case, okay? E or I, which are the same letters I have up here. So C followed by E or I, and also Y, as I said, often makes the S sound. But the first C makes the K sound. Again, accent, accent, succeed, succeed, vaccine, vaccine. So the second S, the second C, is making the S sound. When we have the letter C, however, followed by other letters, such as other vowel letters, A, O, or U, or even many other letters, such as L or K, we often get the sound K. The letter C can also make other sounds, which I'm not going to talk about here, but in these examples, the letter C is making the K sound. Cat, cot, cut, clock. Each of the C's here is making K. In this word, concert, the first C is followed by the letter O, so that's not one of these up here, so I get the K sound. However, the second C is followed by the letter E, which is this one up here. So I get the S sound. This word is concert. What's important for us here in this video is this part up here, that most often when the letter C is followed by E, I, or Y, we get the S. Okay? We may also get a K and then a S, but we get the S sound. Okay? The letter X usually makes two sounds. It can make the two sounds K and S, or it can make the two sounds G and Z. Here are some examples. In the words taxi and expect, we can hear the two sounds K, S. Okay? Taxi, taxi, and expect. So two sounds. In the two words exam and exist, we can hear the two sounds G and Z. Exam, exam, exist. So two sounds. Occasionally, the letter X does make one sound. It can make just the Z sound, as in the word xylophone. I'm including the letter X in this video, of course, because in this video we are concerned with S and Z, and this letter does make those sounds. If you are interested in learning more about the letter X, you can find some information in my K video. Okay? For now, let's move on to our next letter. The letter Z usually does make the Z sound, as in these words: zoo, zipper, and jazz. Notice in this last word, I have two Z's in the word. Well, whether there are two Z's or one Z, the sound is the same. Z. However, if the letter Z follows the letter T in a word, so we have T plus the letter Z, we usually get the S sound, as in the words pretzel and hurts. So the Z's here are not making a Z, they are making a S. Pretzel hurts. In this word, we do not have the letter T, but we do have the sound T. So in this word, we get pizza. There's a sound T, so following that, the Z makes a S sound. Pizza. Okay? In a small number of words, the letter Z followed by U makes a Z sound, as in this word, azure. The letter S can make the sounds S, Z, Sh, and J. For more information on these last two sounds, Sh and J, please see my video about those sounds. The letter S at the beginning of a word usually does make the S sound. Here are some examples. See, sip, so. In each of these words, S is making S. However, if the letter S is followed by the letter H, then we usually get the sh sound, as in these words. She, ship, show. So the two letters SH are making one sound, sh. They are not making S, as in these words. Let's compare these. This is see, this is she. Sip, ship. So, show. So, SH usually makes sh. The letters SU can make either S plus a sound for the vowel, or they can make one sound, sh. So we can get S or sh. Here's some examples. In these words, we hear the S sound plus the vowel sound. Sun, summer, suit. So each of these words has the S sound. But in these two words down here, the letters SU are making sh. Okay? Sugar and sure. So SU can make either sound. Letter S in the middle of a word usually makes S or Z, but sometimes it does make sh or j. Here are some examples. With the sound S, we have the words dinosaur, disappear, soar, dis. Okay? Dinosaur, disappear. With the sound Z, we have visa and thousand. Visa, thousand. Visa, thousand. With the sound sh, we have issue and mission. With j, we have the word measure. The letter S does make the j sound sometimes, but it's not as common as the other sounds. So most of the time we get S or Z. The letter S at the end of a word can make S or Z. Here are some examples. With the S sound, we have kiss, this, and nervous. With the Z sound, we have does, peas, and those. When we make some words plural, such as the word face, if I make that plural, the pronunciation changes to faces. So I get an extra syllable down here, is. If you are interested in the 3 different pronunciations of the letter S at the end of a word, when we make it plural or otherwise, please see my video about that topic. I will not be talking about that here. I would like to give you some examples of words which have the same letter combinations, but which make different sounds. Each of the words up here has the letter S in it. The words in this column have the letter S making the S sound. In this column, the letter S makes the Z sound. In this column, the letter S makes the sh sound. And in this column, the letter S makes the j sound. We have already seen some of these words, so we'll see them again. I am putting these words up here, though, like this for you, to make you aware of the fact that S can make many sounds. Most often it makes s or z, but as we've seen, sometimes it does make other sounds. So let's go through this, okay? In this row, these words have the letters S-A. This is dinosaur, disappear, visa, thousand. So these are making s, and these are making z. In this row, we have words with the letters S-I. Sit, side, sign, make the s sound. Design, desire, and raisin make the z sound. Notice this word sign, S-I-G-N, sounds different from the same letters in this word, design. Here it's s, sign. Here it's z, design. We also have two other words. Here, mission, the S-I makes the sh sound. And here, decision, jeune, decision makes the j sound. In this row, we have words with the letters S-L. Here we have sleep, slide, parsley, and they all make the s sound. Here we have measles, paisley, measles, paisley. They make the z sound. In this row, we have words with the letters S-M. Small, smile, dismay, all have the s sound. Plasma, tourism, dismal, all have the z sound. Notice this ending, ISM, ism, that occurs in many words. They all have the z sound, such as heroism or optimism. They have ISM at the end. Pronunciation is with the z. In this row, we have words with the letters SU. We've seen these already. Sun, summer, suit make the s sound. Issue makes sh. Measure makes zh. In this row, we have words with the letters SY. Symbol, syrup, messy make the s sound. Busy, easy, noisy make the z sound. Here, in this row, we have words with the letters SE. Absence, eraser, mouse make the s sound. Laser, museum, nose make the z sound. In the last row, we have words with two s's. Discuss, lesson, kiss make the s sound. Dessert, possess, scissors make the z sound. In this word discuss, I also underlined this single s because it also makes the s sound. Please notice in these words, and this one in particular, possess, the first two s's make the z sound, so I have underlined them, But the second two S's do not make the Z sound. Instead, they make the S sound. So I put an X here to show you that these S's do not make this sound. In this word, scissors, the first S does not make the Z sound, it makes the S sound. So I put an X there to show you that it's not making this sound. The two underlined S's do make this Z sound. And the last S alone also makes Z. Double S almost always makes the S sound. So if you have to guess about the pronunciation of a word, if it has two S's, you can guess S. The double S only makes the Z sound in a small number of words. So these are just some examples of words which have the same letters, but which make different sounds. Some English learners have a little bit of trouble when these two sounds occur at the end of a word. So for example, if we have two cats, some people might say two cat, and they don't pronounce the final S sound, the sound. Or if I have something like he plays, they might not pronounce the final Z sound. They might drop this and just say he play. In English, it's very important to pronounce these final sounds, the final S and the final Z. So we'll practice this as we go on. Also, some people might confuse these two sounds or reverse these two sounds. So for example, for the word bus, they might pronounce Z, which would be the word buzz. Or for the word buzz, they might pronounce S, which would sound like the word bus. And we'll practice that a little bit later also. And then finally, some people confuse these sounds with other sounds. For instance, the sh sound or the th sound. So please stick with me and we'll get to some places in my videos here where we can practice these different sounds. All right? I told you that it is very important to pronounce the final S in words. And I gave you two examples. I gave you two cats and he plays. And I said it's very important to pronounce the final S in these words. And that is true for most words. However, there are a small number of words in which the letter S is silent, so we do not pronounce the letter S. And here are some words. This is aisle. This is also aisle. These two words sound exactly the same. The letter S is not pronounced. This is island. This is chamois, and this is chassis. So, in most words, we must pronounce the letter S, whether it is a S sound or a Z sound, but in some words, we do not pronounce that letter S, okay? Fortunately, most of the time we do pronounce it. Aisle, aisle, island, chamois, chassis. Here is a summary of the letters and the sounds that they make that I have given you so far. The letter C, when followed by the letters E, I, or Y, usually makes the S sound, as in cell, city, and symbol. When we have two C's followed by one of these letters, we usually get K and S. K for the first C, S for the second, as in accent, succeed, and vaccine. The letter C when followed by other letters, often makes the k sound, as in cat, cot, cut, and clock. The letter C can also make other sounds, which I did not go over. The letter X usually makes two sounds. It can make k-s, as in taxi and expect, and it can also make g-z, as in exam and exist. Sometimes the letter X makes only the z sound, as in the word xylophone. The letter Z usually makes the z sound, as in the words zoo, zipper, and jazz. However, if the letter Z follows the letter T, then we usually get the S sound, as in pretzel and hurts. And in a small number of words, Z followed by U can make the Z sound, as in azure. The letter S usually makes either S or Z. In these words, the letter S makes the S sound. See, sip, so. Small, sun, discuss. Erase, mouse. And I mentioned that when we have two S's in a word, we usually do get the S sound. Not always, but most of the time. The letter S can make the Z sound, as in these words: visa, thousand, design, busy, desert, and museum. The letters S plus H make the sh sound, as in she, ship, and show. The letters S and I sometimes make the sh sound, as in the word mission, and sometimes S plus I make the j sound, as in decision. The letters S plus U sometimes make the sh sound, as in sugar, sure, and issue. But sometimes S plus U makes the j sound, as in measure. And by the way, S plus U, the S can just make the S sound, as in the word sun. Lastly, S is sometimes silent, as in aisle and island. This is the end of part 1 of my S and Z video. I hope that you'll be able to go on and watch part 2 to learn about some of these things. Thanks for watching. Bye.